Hi, fourth graders. Happy Friday. We made it through another week, so great job to all of you who are working extremely hard. So, on the last day of the week for shared reading, we are going to be reading another poem. And as we read this poem, I see that it's called The President's Ball. And before I even start reading, I know that it's a poem just by looking at it. I see that it's written in stanzas, which are those small groupings. And then I also see that it's written in lines, and I know that because of how they're counted. I see a one here, and then they're counted by every 5 lines. I see a 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Something that we are going to be paying close attention to this time is the rhythm and the rhyming. So we might see that some of the lines are rhyming and others are not. So we'll pay close attention to that. Right away, we are presented with a text feature, and up at the top, I see something that looks kind of like an advertisement or a ticket, and it says the second annual birthday ball. President Roosevelt, benefit of sufferers of infantile paralysis at Highland Park Casino, Wednesday Eve, January 30th, 1935. Music by that's really small for me. Two orchestras. And then it says ladies, 25 cents. And then actually on the left there, it's a little too small for me to read. But just so you know, reading, just so you understand that, President Roosevelt, um, he was a president in our past, but infantile paralysis, um, you might have heard the word polio before. It was a serious disease during that time that did kill and affect many people. And actually, President Roosevelt was a victim of that disease. So we are going to go ahead and be reading through this poem about the president's ball for polio. Line 1. All across the land, couples dancing, arm in arm, hand in hand, at the birthday ball. I'm stopping right there because what I do see is that there was some rhyming. I see land and hand. We are introduced to the what of the poem, and the what is the birthday ball. Going to take my highlighter and annotate. If you notice, I'm not over annotating, just the most important part, and that's our what. My father puts on his best overalls. I wear my Sunday dress, the one with the white collar, and we walk to town to the Legion Hall and join the dance. Our feet flying, me and my father on the wooden floor whirling to Arlie Wonderdale and at the Black Mesa Boys. Okay, so what I do see here is that her and her father, that's our who, go to the dance. So we have our who and our what. Till 10, when Arlie stands up from the piano to announce we raised $33 for infantile paralysis, a little better than last year. Okay, so now we know our why, which is infantile paralysis, and they raised $33. That amount's important because she makes a point that it is more than last year. And I remember last year when Ma was alive, and we were crazy excited about the baby coming. And I played at this same party for Franklin D. Roosevelt. Okay, so I see here that the author has gone through a traumatic event, and she mentions that last year was so important. She remembers it because her mom was alive. And Joy City and Arlie, tonight for a little while, in the bright hall, folks were almost free of dust, almost free of debt, almost free of fields of withered wheat. Most of the night, I think I smiled, and twice my father laughed. Imagine. Okay, so I see here this was a very happy time for the people. Um, and why I know this is because the author makes a point of saying that they are free. And this word free is used to represent many things they're free of. This is the dust storm that we've talked about the past 3 days. Free of debt. They could have been going through some money troubles because of the the dust that impacted their farm, as well as free of the fields. We learned previously that their fields were ruined by this dust, their farm, that brought in all of their money, so they're free of this as well. So she made a point to say this night wasn't about that, it was about the smiles that were brought to their faces. So I'm gonna go ahead and say they were smiling. And I'm just inferring that, well, if they're smiling and father's laughing, well, it means that they're happy. So let's go ahead and read the text featured at the bottom. The speaker of Out of the Dust, Billy Joe Kelby, is a young girl who lives in Oklahoma in the 1930s when the Great Plains of the United States were struck by a devastating drought. The 15,000 square mile area, which also included Texas and Kansas, was referred to as the Dust Bowl. Due to the thick dust clouds and black blizzards that formed when the winds blew loose soil into the air, crops were destroyed. Hundreds of people died from dust pneumonia as a result of the inhaling fine particles of dust. Tens of thousands of people left their homes and farms behind, many of them heading to cities and states west. So we get a little bit of background information from that text feature there. I'm now going to go ahead and summarize on the right side, just using the annotations, the most important part of the text. And the people in town gathered to raise money for infantile paralysis. They were able to enjoy the ball and forget about the dust and fields for the night. All I did was take my annotations, my who, my what, and my why, and then I formed it into a summary. Boys and girls, as you go ahead and you do respond on Seesaw, I want you to go ahead and respond with our ABC challenge for the day. So you're going to respond with the G Day, which is Gratitude Day, and you are going to be listing your 3 gratitudes. My 3 gratitudes, I am super grateful for number 1, the people in my life, number 2, the sun shining outside, and number 3, let me think of my third. The people in my life, the sun shining outside, and number 3, that I can take a walk during lunch. So, when you respond, you can tell me what was one thing that I said I was grateful for, and then you can tell me your gratitudes as well. Okay, have a great Friday. Keep working hard.